Hello, everybody. Welcome to back into the Small Town Johnstown podcast with your host, Nick, and my co-host,
Jenny.
And today we're here with Josh from the Tribune Democrat. Hello, Josh. How you doing today?
I'm doing all right. Thanks for having me on the podcast. I really appreciate it.
Of course.
Yeah. Thanks. So what's it like being a reporter in Johnstown? How'd you get started?
So being a reporter in Johnstown is never-ending amount of excitement. There's always something to do. It's often joked about in the newsroom that it's a very newsy area, despite the fact that it doesn't seem like it should be.
Yeah. Seems like a very quiet town.
Yeah, exactly. But there's always something going on. There's always something happening. There's always a press release, coming out, or people contacting you, asking you to, come here, do this. Did you hear about that? So that's fun about the fun aspect.
Yeah, you're always
of
moving
job.
around, always busy. I'm sure time flies.
Yes. Sometimes. There are slow days too.
Yeah.
And then to answer your other question, I got into reporting because, I at a young age, actually, like 15, 16 years old, I was introduced to Hunter S. Thompson.
Yes, I love Hunter S. Thompson.
Okay, so that's
Fear and Loathing of Las Vegas.
I got the Gonzo.
Oh, that's a great thing.
Yeah.
You don't do his reporting kind of.
No.
I was like, wow, what interview are we getting into here?
Nothing crazy, nothing like that. But no, I got introduced to Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, and I started digging into his background and a lot of his ethics and his views. And
stuff.
I had already had an interest in photography, so that kind of combined to, well, what if I could be a reporter?
Mm-hmm.
And went down that path. I got my 4-year degree from Clarion University in journalism, and then kind of bounced around a little bit until I ended up at the Tribune Democrat about 5 years ago.
5 years ago. Oh wow, that's a long time. I thought you were gonna say like a year or two ago. 5 years ago, like, threw me off for a loop.
It'll be 5 years on January 28th or something like that.
Well, congratulations.
Yeah, that's crazy.
How is the environment at the Tribune Democrat? How's the environment still working for I know I saw on one of your Twitter, and you made a little tweet about
oh yes,
newspaper reporting. And so what's it like kind of working in that environment? Is it still kind of like the olden ways? Is it very modernized?
It's definitely a hybrid, right?
Yeah.
So with having a physical print product, that's still important. That's the thing that we put out not every single day, 5 days a week.
Yeah.
6 days a week, 5 days a week.
5 days a week.
But there's also that attention needed for the digital product as well, right? And making sure that stories go up online at appropriate times, and making sure that breaking news is posted and all that kind of stuff. I don't do that. That's all editors, copy editors.
Yeah.
I just supply the content for it. But to the post you're referencing, it's something that I've really spent a lot of time on over the last 5 years, just kind of thinking about, trying to crack that riddle of how do you explain to people that newspapers are still a valuable source of information and still a valuable product for them to invest in, right? And that's where I took to all the social media accounts, because I was like, there was an issue where somebody was lodging a complaint about having a paywall. And not understanding why there's a paywall. The long and short of it is we're still a business.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Still have to pay for utilities, still have to pay for salaries, still have to pay
gas, thing.
Ink costs. We still have our own print shop in the building.
Okay.
The printing press is actually, I think it's 60, it's got to be close to 65 years old, I think. It's either 50 some years old or it's 60 some years old. I can't remember. There's a big anniversary special done by the reporters before I got there in 2016, 2017.
Did they get it a cake? Happy 60th anniversary.
I don't know. That would have been pretty cool though.
Yeah.
But all that stuff, all of the costs of running a business, you translate that into you're paying for a service, right? And I hadn't really thought about it until I was talking to somebody on my Facebook about that post I made, asking for help in solving this problem.
Yeah.
And somebody, I can't remember what the comment was, but the click for me was, but this is like a cell phone, right? People go to their whatever carrier they have. They pay for a brand new phone on a monthly subscription. They pay for a data plan on a monthly subscription. They pay for streaming services on a monthly Don't think anything about it. But then whenever it comes to access to information in a newspaper, it's like, why am I being charged? And
Yeah, it's like because maybe people believe that entertainment is something that you pay for, while education or news might be something that should be available for people.
And I think there's also been kind of that line has blurred a little bit between like local media versus national media. Like, you can go on
CNN, Fox,
MSNBC, CNN, CBS, Fox, all those, and you can read as much as you want, right? You might get a pop-up that says like, hey, toss us a few bucks. The AP is the same way. They say, hey, can you donate, right? But they have the benefit of national and international markets that they can draw revenue from.
Yeah, sponsorship, advertisements, things
exactly.
like that.
Whereas, we're the local news source. So we rely on the local community.
I also feel like if you want to get something more personal and in touch with local news, you would go to a local news source. You'd probably do a CNN who's going to do more of like a national news or a broader international news.
And that's
bigger
another
stories.
Thing, right? Like, that's something I've also been really racking my brain about, is like, how do I explain to people that that's national, right? If you want to know what's going on with your local school board, you come to the Tribune. You want to know what's happening with the city hall or with your local borough or municipality, whatever, you come to the Tribune, right? And I think just trying to figure out how to translate that inherent value to people is
it's a tick and tack game.
Yeah, it's difficult, and I think there just needs to be a little more education. Hopefully, if anybody's watching
or listening,
they understand that like there's more to this.
Yeah.
More of a personal touch.
It's just a tough line between like accessibility and education versus, like you said, the business side.
Right.
Where you guys do have to make some kind of money to pay your employees and keep spreading news.
Yeah.
So how did you get involved with the Tribune? Like, where were you before? And like, what kind of led you to where you are in your position now?
So I worked for the Altoona Mirror before the Tribune. I was a copy editor there. And before that, I worked for Mainline Newspapers, which is based out of Evansburg. And then before that, I worked for Explore Clarion, because that was actually my first like real journalism job right out of college. So I've bounced around a little bit. The opportunity to become the education reporter at the Tribune popped up in I think it was the end of 2019, and I applied, and I was thankful to get it. So it's been doing that ever since.
I was gonna say, so what does the education reporter cover? Just things going on in the school districts of smaller towns and.
Oh yeah, it's a little bit. It's a lot. It can be a lot. So I go to like 7 or 8 school board meetings a month, and I write about whatever happens there. But I also keep up contacts with administrators and teachers within the different school districts. I think there's 36 between Cambria and Somerset County, and we cover both. Just trying to keep track of the good things going on. Like, I've gone to breakfast events that the school has. Like, they'll do a breakfast with veterans around, in November around Veterans Day. They'll do, fun fundraisers, stuff like that. But then there's the other side of it where, like, having to sit down whenever schools decide to close a building. That's actually something. There's 3 schools in our area who are consolidating their buildings. And I've been covering that really closely for the last 3 years as it's kind of developed. And, they're trying to do the best because they have costs that they need to handle. And they've got aging infrastructure and the population's dwindling. So they're trying to figure out the best path forward. But in addition to the education, I'm also the county reporter for Cambria County. So I go to the commissioners' meetings. I go to the county rec authority meetings, the redevelopment authority meetings. And then I also do the courthouse stuff. So I go up for any kind of the big trials that happen. And then I do the outdoor rec stuff like we were talking about before recording. Yeah.
So when you go to a trial, not at the, how do you just sit there with like a recorder and kind of listen, or?
So I can't actually record anything.
Okay.
Yeah. So I have literally, it's old school. I have a notebook and a pen, right? And I sit usually in the balcony. So that I'm not like a distraction to any of the jurors or to anybody else in the courtroom. And I just listen. The most recent one I did, I sat there it was a 6-day trial.
6 days.
Yeah. And I think there was only one day that we got out like early. Everything else was 8 or 9 a.m. till 4 p.m.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Except for lunch,
Yeah.
My notebook was just a bunch of scribbles. What's it say?
Listen, that happens sometimes. There are times where I'm flipping and I'm like, I have no idea what that says. You just cross it out and you're like, all right, don't use that one.
Yeah.
Hopefully that wasn't important.
Yeah.
Can't go spreading misinformation.
Exactly.
Scribbles there.
Oh.
So then what does a typical day look like for you? Is it consistent? Is it changing? Like, 9 to 5.
Yeah, so a typical day is kind of hard to explain because it's always changing, right? Every day is different. I could go to a meeting in the morning and then clock out and then clock back in later because I have something else going on at night, like live coverage. There's other opportunities where I do have like a normal shift where I work like 8:30 to 4:30, and I have a bunch of stuff scheduled. Like this past Monday is a good example of that. I went to an interview at 11:30, and then I had an interview at 1, and then I thought I had an interview at 2:30. That got canceled, and then I ended up doing like 3 more hours of work because I came up with 2 other press releases that came out that I had to call people about. So it's like ping-ponging all over the place.
It's always changing, though,
Yeah.
which is good for a lot of people because I know sometimes we get a little exhausted doing the same stuff every day. So it's
Yeah.
good that you're busy and, spreading the news out there and always doing something different.
Yeah, you don't just zone out like a zombie after a while.
Yes, yeah.
So do you have like backup stories? Like you said that one person canceled. Do you have like, okay, well I can work on some of these other stories that
Yes.
I might have
Yeah,
backup wise?
There's always like I said, there's always something to do. I actually have I'm again old school. I have a legitimate date book
Okay.
that I open and I track all of my meetings, my whole schedule. Anytime somebody calls me and says, when can you meet with me or talk with me? Here's a phone call, here's live event coverage, all that stuff. I call it my brain outside my body because if I don't have it, I have no idea what's going on.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Seriously, without my little Google Calendar, what day is it? What are we doing this
Yeah.
day? Not a clue. Does everyone else at the Tribune do that too? Or do they use their phones
Oh,
today?
it's always kind of a mix of things. Everybody kind of has their own personal way of organizing everything. So.
That's good. You got to be organized to keep that many
Yeah.
stories on track, for
Yeah.
sure. And scheduling meetings and stuff, like what are those typically like? You said you do like the courtroom, school boards. How does that typically flow?
So every week I get a schedule of the courtroom trials and hearings and all that stuff. So then I just kind of figure out which ones I need to be at, and they pen those into the book.
Okay.
And then thankfully those are always early. Usually there's some time between like 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. So if I do have a school board meeting or something that night, I can go to that. And if there's like conflicting arrangements, like if there's something happening in court that's just a status conference, and I know I don't necessarily have to be there because I have another meeting at the same time.
Yeah.
I can bounce back and forth, or I just kind of prioritize whatever needs to go. And then on top of that, there's always the opportunity to call somebody and say, hey, I couldn't be there. What can you tell me about X, Y, and Z?
Yeah. So what was one of your favorite stories recently or since you've started at the Tribune? You can list a couple too if you don't have like one in particular.
Okay, I'll tell you what, because Nick asked a similar question. And the first thing that popped into my mind was getting to not only know the family of Steve Ditko, but then getting to tell their stories. That is by far one of my favorite things I have ever done in my career as a reporter.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. And that was as simple as the family decided that they were going they wanted to tell the story. They wanted to tell the truth about what, Steve was like compared to all of the rumors that circulated for decades. So that I've done 3 or 4 or 5 stories with the family since then.
So what rumors have you shut down with that story then?
So Steve was a very private man, at least from what I've gathered, when I've read, what I've, been told. He was a private man who didn't like doing interviews, right? He preferred his work to speak for him. And that led to a lot of rumors in the comic book world of people saying that he's a recluse and he's a terrible person and he's hard to work with and all this stuff. And none of that was true. You sit down with his family and they're like, no, he was a dedicated man. He was hilarious. He loved pulling pranks on people. He was a fantastic, for his nieces and nephews, he was a fantastic uncle. For his brother and sisters, he was a great family member. He used to come back to Johnstown multiple times a year, and then it kind of dwindled to like one time a year, and then it, towards the end of his life, it became harder for him to travel. But so that's something that has been really important, I think, for them and for other people to understand, especially as characters that he created and co-created are top of the genre now.
Yeah.
Right?
Very large.
Which, if you don't know that, which is Spider-Man.
Yep.
Doctor Strange.
Co-created Spider-Man, created Doctor Strange, but then he has tons of other credits. Like he created the Blue Beetle movie that came out.
Yeah.
Right? Ted Kord is the character he created. Now, he didn't create Blue Beetle, the character, but he made the most famous version of Blue Beetle when he worked for DC, right? The Creeper from Batman, he created that. The Question from DC Comics, he created him. All of Spider-Man's Rogues Gallery, like the Green Goblin, I think Doc Ock, Mysterio, all Steve Ditko. Like, characters that are extremely popular right now, all go back to him and his work in the 60s.
That's
and they weren't always popular either.
Oh. Other ones, like Squirrel Girl is a good one. He created Squirrel Girl. Like, a very obscure character that is extremely popular right now.
Now, did you know about these characters, or did you learn more about these characters as you interviewed the family?
A little bit of both. I've always been kind of like, a comic book nerd. Yeah. I grew up with Batman the Animated Series and X-Men and Spider-Man. Yeah, so...
That created Harley Quinn.
Exactly, yeah. So that was, Fox Kids Saturday mornings were like my favorite thing growing up.
Yeah. Me, that was I think Toonami was the one that played Batman. I think Cartoon Network back in the day.
I watched a lot of Toonami.
Oh, same. That's why I got into anime.
Yep.
A little bit of a nerd myself. More sports nerd, but a little bit of other stuff.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with being a nerd.
You gotta own it.
Yeah.
One of our famous people from Johnstown was a nerd. I mean, he created comic books.
Exactly. So Steve Ditko was a huge Batman fan.
Yeah.
And he got into comics because of that. He actually, when he got out of the Army and he graduated from an art school, it was one here, he went to New York City to learn from, I can't remember the guy's name. It wasn't Bill Finger or the other guy who created Batman. It was the artist of the time. He learned from him in this class in New York City. That's why he moved.
Nice.
That's really cool.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
So when you go out to interview people, have you had any, maybe not your favorite, but any interesting interviewer people? Like they're just talking nonsense, or have you could sense like people that maybe wanted to try and get their quick 15 minutes of fame in an interview and maybe like wasn't the best source?
Yeah, there's always times where you end up with somebody who is definitely interested in the attention.
Yeah.
I think more often than not, though, I deal with people who agree to like, I'll give you a quote, and then you ask them a very simple question, and they just stare at you, and they're like, oh, what are you doing here? Like, what brought you out tonight? I wanted to.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Okay.
It was nice out. I don't know.
But on the other side, I understand, like, it's kind of intimidating, right?
Yeah.
The idea of, like, I'm holding a notebook and a pen, and I'm staring directly into your eyes, and I'm going, tell me why you're here.
It's got to be worse than this.
I mean, just on the spot too. Think I'm gonna be quoted on something. I start sweating.
Yeah. A lot of people want their name and face out there, and then when they're left with that intimidation, they're just like, wait, I actually don't know what to say.
Yeah. Though I will say I think the instances where you get some of the wildest comments is usually from like a crime scene of some sort.
Yeah.
Or like a crash or something. Once people see that you're there and you're covering it, they want to talk your ear off. Yeah.
So, being from Johnstown, correct? Was it hard to get into the industry? Like going through right out of college. I know you worked at the one place you said post college. Was it hard to get your footing going in? Because we've tried and we haven't had the best success into getting into media.
It is, in my experience, a lot of luck. It is just it's a lot of luck.
Yeah.
Like the first place I worked right out of college, I actually got turned down for a job first.
Okay.
Yeah, I had reached out right after graduation. It was like, I'd love to work here, blah, blah, blah. And they were like, well, we're not hiring. Okay.
Hard rejection.
Well, yeah, but I understand. It's the same thing like I went into the local newspaper up there and I gave them my resume and my clippings and everything and said, I'd like to work here. And they were like, well, we're not hiring. But it has just been, for me, just kind of randomly, I think, in newspapers I've seen the advertisements, right? Like when I got the job at Mainline, it was I saw an advertisement somewhere that they were hiring, so I applied. Same thing with the Altoona Mirror. I saw an advertisement. Same thing with the Tribune. I happened to open the Tribune one day. And I'm like, oh my God, they're hiring.
That was my chance.
Yeah.
Yeah, and at least with the older people, older times that you got rejected, at least they told you.
Yeah.
Jenny, she would apply from places and either never heard back or
I got
waited
ghosted
6
a lot.
months.
Trust me, I understand. That was in graduating from college, the first because I graduated in May of 13, the first 7 months or 6 months was just applications, filling out applications for anything at all. I just needed a job to pay rent.
Yeah.
And and nothing. I'd never heard back, or I would get the polite oh, thank you for inquiring,
Yeah.
but
Unfortunately,
Yes.
and they go off.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's only gotten harder too. Now it's hard because of the economy and everything, but I had a lot of friends that graduated college during COVID.
Oh yeah.
So imagine being unemployed at that time because nobody is hiring because it's
Right.
essential workers only. And so it's always a challenge, especially right out of school. And like you said, there's a lot of luck.
Oh yeah, it's definitely,
too.
there's a ton of luck involved. If you guys don't mind me asking, what are you guys interested in doing?
Anything?
Media-wise,
Yeah.
I would want to cover sports because sports is my first love. But if it's not sports, just covering probably what you do.
Okay.
Events going on in Johnstown or smaller areas, and kind of just talking about it and posting articles and covering.
Okay.
Johnstown, small towns. Maybe even doing a podcast like how we're doing now.
Yeah.
But sports is definitely my first love.
Nice.
I can be opinionated about it and think I'm right, and no one can prove me wrong until otherwise.
What specific? Any specific sports or all sports?
So my favorite sport to watch is football, but
Okay.
I think the sport I'd want to cover the most is baseball.
Okay.
Because I'm a Mets fan, sadly, and
Okay.
baseball just has that nostalgic feeling that I think I'd love to enjoy to cover.
Listen, you're preaching to the choir here, man.
Yeah.
Baseball is my first love.
It is my first love. I got into baseball before I got into anything else,
Right.
and it's just different.
I came home from the hospital in a Pittsburgh Pirates not onesie, but outfit.
Yeah.
That I then brought my daughter home in.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So I love baseball. I love going down here and watching AAA tournament. I love watching the Mill Rats every summer. I unfortunately watch the Pirates every year. And I'm on that schedule of really big excitement in March and April. And then by May, I'm feeling really
first
good. We've got a
place.
chance. Yeah. And then by the summertime, I'm like, what am I doing to myself? Why do I do this? And by September, I've given up on them completely. And
That used to be me. We had a good season for Mets last year, and we got soda.
I'll tell you what, man. I legitimately, this is because it's my pattern.
Yeah.
As I go through that with the Pirates, and then by September, I'm like, I'm gonna watch the World Series this year. It happens every year. I'm like, this is the year. I'm gonna watch every game.
Yeah.
And I got really excited about the Mets and
The Indians?
the Mets and the
Guardians. Guardians, yes, Guardians.
That's okay. I froze for a second too because I couldn't remember what they were called. The Mets and the Guardians. I was like, that's a World Series I'd love to watch.
Yeah, or Detroit with their Cy Young.
Right? I was like, this could be amazing. And then whenever it was LA and the Yankees, I didn't care.
I did watch the end of the first game, though, because
Okay.
I'll tune in. I love baseball enough, all right, I'll tune in even though I hate these teams.
Yeah.
It was cool to see Freeman hit the walk-off.
Okay.
Yeah, we were at the Airbnb that night for my birthday when I saw it
really?
happen. Yeah.
I'll tell you what, that's one of my favorite moments in baseball of all time. Hands down. I will never forget this. I will tell my children about this. It was in the first Field of Dreams game.
Oh, yeah.
Whenever the White Sox
played.
walked it off.
Tim Anderson knocked off.
Yeah. That was amazing.
I would have loved to go to that game because I love Field of Dreams. Always cry at the end.
Me too.
Yeah,
All right. I think we just became best friends. So.
My love for baseball, but the thing is, my love for baseball is deep. But I can only watch the Mets. I can watch some other outside the Mets every now and then.
Because you know the players, right?
Yeah, I know the players
And the Pirates.
Yeah, I do go to Pirates games. We went to a couple Pirates
Have they
games.
won any of the ones that we went to?
Probably not.
No. Thankfully, they lost
Probably
one. No, but we love the Pirates Stadium. It's beautiful.
Oh, PNC Park is one of the
PNC
best
Park is
stadiums. It's one of the best sports stadiums, period, of any team.
Yeah. And we took our pups there for pup night, and pup night was really dope. You're a little high up, which gets a little nervous.
It's scary how high you are, but
that was really fun. We'll do it again this year.
That's my favorite, and I haven't been to a game in years, but my favorite place to sit is behind home plate, so to the right on the second level.
Oh, okay.
Right? Because
Yeah.
from there, like if you're at the railing or a couple rows back, you get a full view of the entire field.
Mm-hmm.
You can still see like for the most part, you can still see like wide balls or like down the line strikes.
Yeah.
You can still see all the players' numbers and all their names from that distance without being like too far away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah, and then you especially love night games because right before the sun comes down, you get that beautiful
Yep.
sun. It's beautiful. I like Citizen Park too because I'm from Philly, so I watch the Phillies a lot.
Yeah.
I didn't watch them, but I went to a couple of Phillies games because my friends were Phillies fans.
Yeah.
I want to go to Citi Field eventually. That'll be a trip. But,
Yeah.
I was gonna go this year. If they made it to the World Series, I didn't care what the price was. I was going.
You
I'm
were
like,
going.
I'm sorry. I'm kind of kidding you out. I gotta see his team once. Lindor should have won MVP. But yeah, some about baseball, man. Especially like I feel like it would be so amazing just to cover it, just to be able to sit there, just have that nostalgia feeling. It's a relaxed environment.
It is. So you asked earlier about one of my favorite stories. One of my favorite stories I did was I worked on 4th of July last year, and I went down to the Millrats game for the fireworks.
Yeah.
Had the Johnstown Symphony Orchestra was playing beforehand. People came in. The Millrats had a nice game. I think they won. I can't remember.
Sorry, Chad.
I wrote my story in the stands.
Oh wow.
And as the game went on, and then the fireworks afterwards, they were up on Prospect Hill, and like the team members and their families got to go down on the field and watch the displays, and like this magic moment, the song from The Sandlot was playing.
Oh, yeah.
It was amazing.
Yeah,
it was so cool.
It's so hard to recreate that in anything.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's just like you're just engulfed in that moment and just stopped writing for a second.
I did because it was just like you just kind of sit back and just take it all in because like you said, I love baseball, I love football, and I love some basketball.
I'm a big basketball person.
Okay, so not NBA, but my wife got me into WNBA.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I love watching WNBA. But
the Liberty won it this year.
Did they?
Yeah, they beat the Aces.
I don't think I knew that. No, wait, I did know that. Sorry, I did know that. Excuse me. I got all.
See,
all flabbergasted.
journalists mess up too.
Yeah, I do. That's why there's a delete key. You said Liberty, but I was thinking of the Storm.
Oh.
Because that's my wife's favorite team.
Oh,
but
okay.
Stewie went from the Storm to the Liberty.
Yeah.
And that's crossed wires in my brain.
I'm not the biggest WNBA fan, but I do pay attention because I liked Maya Moore back in the day when she was through Tennessee, and then I respected women's UConn Huskies women's basketball team because they went undefeated. And with Gene, I'm not gonna say his last name if we mess it up, but but he's.
I remember watching some of those UConn games.
Yeah, they were so dominant back in the day. Now it's South Carolina with the one ex-Philly Eagles player's sister.
South Carolina, is that the Tar Heels?
No, Gamecocks. Tar Heels was North Carolina.
North Carolina, okay.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember.
Yeah, but I've been love. What got basketball to me was I don't know. It was just something. I'm not a Sixers fan. I'm actually a Nuggets fan.
Okay.
And I love Jokic, but I started playing basketball when I was young, and I just kind of started watching it more and more. And I saw it live, and I just kind of fell in love with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
So watching those highlights. My favorite. So how I lay it out is my favorite sport to watch is football. I can watch that all day. It doesn't have to be. College football is about up there with me with baseball.
Okay.
Big Ohio State fan. Ready for Monday. Nervous for Monday too.
Okay.
Then it's basketball is my favorite sport to play. Baseball. That's the one that the Mets have a special place in my heart. And I love going to them live. I love going to baseball games live. And something about the Mets. The Mets is what I'm most passionate about.
Okay.
Of all the teams.
Yeah. Oh, it's easy. What's the quote? It's easy to be romantic about baseball.
Yeah.
I think it's from Moneyball.
Yeah. Brad Pitt and the Oakland A's.
Yeah.
Yeah. sorry.
Yeah,
sorry. She's zoned out. She clocked out.
Yeah.
You guys can start your own sports podcast.
I would. I did do a sports podcast a little bit in community college for a while.
Yeah, what happened to that?
We just weren't in community college for a while, and schedules changed, and we started this. So, but I would love to cover sports if I could. Just talking about it. What dream? One day.
That's good. Go full circle. Right there.
Yeah. So, what are some other things you like to do around Johnstown that isn't work, or does work lead you to some cool things or events that maybe you wouldn't have gone to outside of work?
Yeah, definitely. And this is a plug for the Tribune Democrat. We have a very in-depth events calendar and entertainment section that there are times where I don't even know that things are going on until I see it or read about it in our paper. So that's how we do a lot of stuff like that. Like my wife and I will take our daughter to different events around town. We'll take her to baseball games. That was a little harder last year, just with scheduling conflicts. Where else have we gone recently? I actually just saw, and I might get the date wrong. It's at the end of March. So the Learning Lamp sponsors a children's book fair every year at BottleWorks. Okay. I think it's at the end of March this year. It might be the 29th. Don't quote me on that. Go look it up.
We can look it up online.
Yeah, but I just saw that, and that's one of my all-time favorite events of the entire year. And I only learned about it because I had to cover it one year. I think it's in its like 16th year now. But you go and they bring in like nationally renowned children's authors, and they have booths set up, and they have a book sale. Like we've bought probably close to 100 children's books, just like built my daughter a library because this book sale is available there. But doing stuff like that, family stuff, is always a great time. I love food.
I'm a big foodie too.
So,
I love food. Right?
No,
I love food. I love movies. I love all that stuff.
So going like Johnstown has some great options for like, and by Johnstown I mean like Cambria County.
Yeah.
And even in the Somerset County, like fantastic food options. Yeah. Like there's amazing stuff here. There's a lot of like bar style food, a lot of like pizza, wings, burgers, that stuff. Yeah. Which don't get me wrong,
it's good every now and then.
I love
it's
that
good
stuff.
For once in a while.
But there are times where I'm like, I just want something different.
yeah, exactly.
And those options are available. In fact, we just did a story on Vita Verde downtown, which is a vegan restaurant.
The vegan place, yeah. We used to live right above that.
Oh, really? Mm-hmm. Oh, nice. Okay. So they just opened.
Yeah.
And
we didn't think they would.
So you're living there, like, they're hammering again.
They started when we were still living there.
I know the sign was up for a long time. It said coming soon. But they opened, and I'll tell you, we like a couple of us at work were able to sample a burrito whenever the business reporter Russ O'Reilly did the story. And amazing food. Yeah.
We want to try it out. One of our places is we like Ryan's rotisserie. Or not rotisserie. He's saying
Artisan.
Yeah,
Ryan Artisan.
I struggle with words.
Yeah, I do too. I get it. He
Amerigo's
has fantastic
is really good
stuff
too.
Yeah, I've never been to Amerigo's.
You should.
I know Mike Cook goes to Amerigo's like once a week.
Yeah, we went there like 3 times and spent at least $100.
Yeah, but that's something that I got on a odd like Italian food kick. Actually, because of TikTok, I started following.
R.I.P.
Right, I started following these two brothers. They're identical twins.
Okay.
Older guys. I think it's either one of their sons records them, but they make these traditional Italian dishes in their kitchen.
Oh yeah.
And the it's called the Brothers Cucina or something like that. And I'm like, man, I really want like Italian food all the time now, like all the time. So Amerigo's is something I need to get to so that I can.
It's nice, definitely worth going.
I try and cook Italian food as much as I can because I grew up on Italian, Greek, and Hispanic food,
nice.
So a variety of things, other kinds of culture food, and Italian's up there with me. It's like Mexican, Italian, and then I love Asian food. Good Asian.
That's my wife and I always joke that our relationship is built on Chinese food, pizza, wings, and tacos, because that's what we ate all the time, right?
Real healthy back then. I could go on about food too, especially because I love cooking food. As much as I love eating food and going out to restaurants and the fancy stuff, I love cooking food. A big, because I just find it enjoy it. You kind of get lost, put something on in the background, baseball game. Yeah. And then you just
kind of do it.
Yeah, just kind of do it.
The dishes suck afterwards, but
dishes do suck. I get yelled at for that a lot.
Because I'm a like clean while I cook or bake kind of person. The kitchen's just a mess when he steps out of it. So.
It's a tornado.
In my house, I call it chaos cooking.
Yeah.
Because I just kind of do it. Like one night I made oatmeal raisin cookies at 8 o'clock at night, just on a whim, because I cracked open a
we do that too.
Right?
Every day.
And my wife's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm going to make oatmeal raisin cookies. She's like, why? It's 8 o'clock at night. And I went, give me time. All right. Within like half an hour, the cookies were made. I cleaned everything up.
Yeah.
It was perfectly fine. Yeah.
Yeah, good cookies
That
afterwards.
was me last night.
Yeah.
I do love a good oatmeal cookie, like raisins. Especially some she doesn't like raisins. I like raisins in my oatmeal cookies. So.
Our cookies are going to be oatmeal and chocolate chip.
You can throw raisins in there too. Chocolate, raisins. Like I love
You
raisinets.
get your half. I'll take mine.
There you go.
Like we just made pistachio cookies yesterday. She did.
What's this? We? I was going to say we.
She did. Sorry.
I made pistachio chocolate chip cookies. They're really good.
Those sound really good. I love pistachio.
Saw it on TikTok, and I was like, gotta make that.
Right?
Yeah, we last summer, 2 summers ago, we did a little. We didn't record it, but we wanted to rank all the ice cream shops around here. So we went to a bunch of ice cream
We went
shops.
to every ice cream within like a 5-10 mile
Yeah,
radius
5-10 mile
and tried
ride.
it. Because there's a lot of pizza wings and a lot of ice cream.
Yes.
So
Surprisingly.
we had fun doing that.
Like
Yeah.
it's one thing I've never quite grasped is the amount of ice cream stands, and everybody has a favorite, and they are diehard fans.
For sure.
Like if you go to the Ranger, you cannot talk about going to the Rambler. How dare you?
Yeah. And then,
If you go to I can't think of what the one is out in Conemaugh Township.
we like the
Silver
Silver
Bell.
Bell. We're Silver Bell people.
Okay, so you go there. You cannot go to like
Roxbury.
Roxbury or like we're Krispy Kreme people.
I
So-
like. Yeah.
Yeah, and so like we want ice cream, we go to the Krispy Kreme.
yeah.
I'm not a franchise person. I try and stay.
No. It's
It's the one.
it's on 422. It's a tiny little family-owned shop.
Oh, so it's
right
not
along
the-
the highway.
not the
It's not
Yeah,
Krispy
not
Kreme
the
donuts.
Oh, see, I was thinking the Krispy Kreme donuts.
No,
My
no,
bad.
no.
I'm sorry.
No,
I'm like, those donuts are mid.
No, Beth and John told you about it because we went to the we went to the
yeah, that's
Buckhorn
right.
instead.
Yeah. That's
Okay.
right.
Yeah, it's right up on 422 outside of Twin Rocks.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're heading to Duman Lake County Park, you'll pass it going there. Yeah.
So, what's your favorite? Do you cook or do you just like to eat?
Yes.
Yes. What's your favorite meal to cook, but what's your favorite meal to eat? Because I know it's 2 separate things.
Oh man, my favorite meal to cook is probably stir fry.
you can make that?
I've spent a long time working out like the secrets of making it feel like restaurant quality stir fry.
Yeah.
And then, which by the way, it's brown sugar. It's,
Really?
It's brown sugar and sesame oil.
That makes sense to
We can
me.
bleep that out if you want.
Yeah. No, that's it. Literally, that's all it comes down to. And like if you want, you can throw in some like rice wine vinegar.
Yeah.
But like those are the 3 main ingredients, and it changes the flavor of the dish completely. So that's my favorite to cook. I do love eating that too. What is my favorite to eat though?
For me, it's like, I don't know, I'm kind of simple. I like pizza. Pizza for some reason, even though it's simple, there's so many different things you can do with it. You can get real creative if you want.
Oh, yeah.
I'm more of a traditional guy. I like the brick oven. I'm a brick oven fiend.
Feed.
Fiend for pizza. And sucks that there's none here, but like, and I'm real picky about my pizza.
There is somewhere. Who has brick oven pizza? Anthony's on Scope
Anthony's?
Avenue.
Okay,
They
I'll have to try.
they actually built, and I don't know when they did it, but they built an addition out the front of the
wow.
restaurant, and the you can actually see the oven in the window.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, people have told us about that.
Yeah,
I think.
I have to try that place out. Yeah, I don't know. For some reason, for me, it's like it's just one of the things I can't get sick of.
Yeah.
And you think at first, it could be some fancy. To me, it's just pizza. It's simple, and it's kind of hard to mess up. People still do. I hate too much sauce, and I hate sweet sauce.
Yep. I don't like sweet sauce either.
Not a sweet sauce person.
No.
I just like, and I like it tomatoey. I need my tomato sauce to be tomatoey.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, I'm very picky.
I'll tell you what. One of my favorite things to eat, because it's nostalgic.
Yeah.
Beans and weenies.
Oh, okay.
Just a can of baked beans and diced up hot dogs and cook it in a pan, like warm it up, get it kind of caramelize the bean sauce, Yeah, one of my favorite things.
Hey, I like hot dogs and Kraft mac and cheese. So.
See? Yeah.
Yeah. You gotta have some of the
Gotta
bad.
stick with the classics.
Yeah, some of the bad stuff. But I just wish I wish we could have good bagels and pretzels around here. Thankfully, actually, we don't, because I'd be very bigger than I already am. If we did. I love Wawa. I'm a big Wawa guy. So
I've never been to a Wawa.
you got
It's
it.
worth going.
It's worth it.
Is
Try
it?
it out once. Yeah, get a good hoagie. Get a good pretzel. You'll be all right. It'd be alright.
I don't often get to the eastern side of the state. Like,
Yeah, well, you're a local reporter.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that'd be worth it.
even traveling, like we always end up going north, south, or west.
Well, it was like that for me when I did live in the eastern side of the state. We just thought Pittsburgh was a myth. Like we knew it was there, but like it's just we never went past Harrisburg, if anything.
Because
or
it
the
is very
Poconos.
far drive from Pittsburgh to Philly.
It's only 3 hours.
Right,
No, it's more than that.
It might be pushing 4. It might be like 3.5, almost 4.
It's too long.
Do you know how long it takes to get across Texas or Florida?
Well, that's the wild thing, right? Is like growing up here. This is gonna sound ridiculous, but like growing up here, I felt like Evansburg was a long drive.
I still feel like Evansburg is a long drive.
It's like 20 minutes. If you're in the heart of downtown Johnstown, it's like 20 minutes. You just
Yeah.
hop on 219, you're there. And that's something I've been really kind of reevaluating in my adult life is just my concept of distance. Because I always felt like Philly was like this 6-hour drive or 7-hour drive.
Yeah.
And in reality, and one thing I really like touting about this area is that we're like a wagon wheel for anywhere else you want to go on the eastern seaboard.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
If you're in Johnstown, it's an hour and a half to Pittsburgh. If you're in Johnstown, it's a 6.5-hour drive to New York City.
Yeah.
You're like 4 hours from Philly. You're 3.5 hours from DC. You're, under 10 hours from pretty much any beach on the eastern coast. You can get to like Cincinnati. I think it's Cincinnati. Whichever one's close. I think Cleveland's more inland, right?
Yeah, Cleveland's 4 hours because we looked. Or no, Columbus is 4 hours. Cleveland.
They all begin with the C, so I don't know.
Right? I always screw up
Wow,
where
those love it. C states or cities.
Cities.
I always screw up which one's Cleveland, which one's Cincinnati. But either one, I think is under like
Cincinnati's more
6
down.
hours.
Cleveland's more.
I've been in one of them. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's about 6 hours. Yeah.
Lake Erie is like a 4-hour drive. If you want to go to like anywhere in Virginia, West Virginia, it's like a 4-hour drive. Like you can go pretty much anywhere, and then we have a great airport here that you can hop on and go anywhere else in the country. And,
Yeah. What shocks me is I forget. Is it Maryland? That's only like an hour and a half from here. I've heard people live in there. I'm like, oh, Maryland, what? That's like a 4-hour drive. I'm like, no, I'm like an hour from here. I'm like,
Yeah.
And
it's
an hour from
not
here?
even. It's like a half hour to the border, and then it's like another hour, under like 4 hours to get anywhere else. Like my wife and I went to a wedding in Baltimore for friends a few years ago, and it was like a 3.5-hour trip.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
It's really not that bad.
But I don't know. Being the East Coast, it just feels longer than it is.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I forget how big Maryland is, or decent size.
Right?
Maybe not big, but decent.
It's
size.
long.
It's
long.
it's very it's long that way.
That and where the South starts is one of the things I always get into debates about. Mason-Dixie line. We're like just on the border.
Yeah.
I think it's Pennsylvania and Maryland, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, but I don't think. To me, it's like South Carolina and below.
Okay.
Tennessee, Alabama area is kind of where I'm like, you guys are the South.
Okay.
Texas is central. So being from Johnstown, you said you love Johnstown. You're a big advocate for. What are some things you love about Johnstown?
Can I say everything?
Yeah, go ahead. Everything.
That's fine.
Right?
Not a lot of people would agree with you.
Right?
Yeah.
I know.
There's always something to complain about.
And that's not to say like I'm not what's the right word? I understand that there are faults to the area, right? I'm not blind to that. There are issues that could be resolved, but I think people also, especially people who grew up here, take this area for granted. And like I just laid out for you, like the ability to travel here is amazing, especially with the cost of living being so low here. We do have great food options. We have literally world-class outdoor recreation.
Yeah.
And that's something I have been trying to explain to people is that like we have world-class outdoor recreation available here. And not just like one. We have hiking, we have biking, we have kayaking, we have camping, we have everything that you could ever want. I'm still working on the rock climbing thing.
I don't know how you can do that. I'm not gonna.
We'll find something somewhere.
Rock climbing scares me a little bit.
Supposedly there are areas the rock climb in and around the Cambria County area, but they are kind of like a well kept secret for the people who go there, which I understand. You want people screwing up your spot.
Yeah.
It's also. Rock climbing is a dangerous sport, and you don't want people being stupid about what they're doing.
Yeah, the TikTokers, RIP, doing like crazy rock climbing without a harvest or whatever they're called, harness.
Yeah. there is. I think there's just a lot to love about this area and the people who live here and the people who are doing good things, like you guys and this podcast, right?
Yeah.
Like getting an opportunity to explain to people that it's not doom and gloom. I think there's also the side of it that you make your life what you want it to be, right? If you're so focused on the negatives and you're so focused on, being unhappy, that perpetuates. And I think there's actually, don't quote me on this, I'm pretty sure there's legitimately scientific studies that show that a negative lifestyle perpetuates a negative lifestyle.
Yeah.
And I know that's hard to change. Trust me.
It took me a while to change. Like, to me, I just think it's growing up and maturing.
Yeah.
There's some people that can't get past that no matter how old they get.
Yeah.
And it took me a while to really appreciate just the little things, no matter what. Think positive about it without thinking, negatively. And because if you do, you let it affect your life. You're not. If you think negative all the time, how are you going to find anything that's going to make you happy?
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing with negativity is change. Like, if you don't ever change, like if you're upset, sad, depressed, whatever it is on the scale, if you don't change one thing about your life, how do you know that anything's ever going to improve?
Right. It's those baby steps.
You got to test it out. Try something different if it's not working out.
Yeah.
Okay, my last question. What you can talk about, if you do know anything, what is something that you look forward to or that you see Johnstown in the future? What is I don't know how to put it, like, the potential you see from Johnstown? Outdoor rec?
Outdoor rec.
Yeah.
Hands down, I believe that we are on Cambria County and literally the Laurel Highlands in general. We're on the cusp of becoming a bigger destination.
A hot spot.
Yeah, a hot spot for outdoor recreation, because we do have that world-renowned options available here, and I just don't know how to get us over the precipice, right? Like, how do you get to that point where people recognize that this is a destination, and especially people who already live here, right? That's something that you hear a lot from the people who are in charge of the trails and in charge of the outdoor rec. They say, people come to them and go, "Oh, I didn't know this was here. I've lived here my entire life. I didn't know that this trail that was developed 30 years ago existed."
Yeah.
Or I didn't know that this reservoir, I didn't know you could boat on this. I didn't know you could fish here. I didn't know you could camp here. So I think just trying to continue to spread the word, and that's something that I try to do myself in a lot of my coverage, is just try to get people to understand that, like, look, it's here. We just need that little push to get
a little more funding.
Yeah, everybody else
volunteering
from around. Volunteering is important. Everybody could use some more volunteers. It's hard too,
especially with the economy right now. Even though Johnstown's affordable,
the economy and just the way our society works anymore. With the requirements of 40+ hour week jobs and inability to be flexible. That, and then you lay on top of that, family responsibilities and social responsibilities and everything else that you've got going on. Trying to find a few hours every month to volunteer can be difficult. So I get that. But yeah, I think outdoor rec is definitely the future, especially because the number that was just announced a few weeks ago. So it used to be a $17 billion industry in Pennsylvania. It's a $19 billion industry now.
Oh, wow.
And that's in like 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, that's a lot.
That's a lot of growth in a very short amount of time.
Yeah. There's a lot of potential. Is there a website that kind of outlines like what there is to do or the trails that are around here? Because I know there's the app for the trails, but like, is there anywhere specific, maybe on like Visit Johnstown or something?
Yes, Visit Johnstown actually has an extensive collection of the majority of outdoor rec available. It's pretty easy to navigate to. I think it's actually right at the header of their website, but you can also go on like the Cambria County Conservation Recreation Authority. They have a website that lays out all the stuff that they manage, and then there's the individual things like Lorraine Stony Creek hiking trails. They have their own page. There's a ton, and literally sometimes you can just type in like outdoor rec Johnstown, and a lot of stuff will come up.
So anybody you want to plug in? Anybody you want to talk, say a shout out to?
I don't think so.
Okay, perfect.
That works for me.
Tribune Democrat, check it out.
Yeah. www.tribdem.com.
How can people reach out to you? How can we get your articles other than the Tribune Democrat website?
A great way is my email, which is, I'll say it and spell it. It's jbyers@tribdem.com. It's JBYERS@TRIBDEM.com. You can also give me a call or text on my work phone. It's 814-525-6280.
All right, perfect. Thank you very much for coming
Sounds
on.
good.
Thank you guys.
Thank
You're welcome.
you.
This is Nick from small town Johnstown.
Jenny.
And this is Josh. From Tribune Democrat.